I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, December the 20th, brought to you in part by Safeguard. Is your dewormer working? Text the word SAFE to 48109 to find out. You'll also be entered to win a Traeger grill. For more information, go to Merck Animal Health. Feeder sales are winding down as we're getting here really close to your holiday shutdown for Christmas and New Year's, and a lot of your auction markets have already shut down, and they were just on differing schedules, more so this year than a lot of years, with Christmas and New Year's both falling on Sunday. That kind of made it a little bit different. Some of them opted to take their break early in the holiday season, some of them late. Didn't have a whole lot of sales really on Monday, but we did have our biggest high volume sales, Oklahoma City and Joplin, to get a good test of the market, and then that'll be kind of your last good test. We have a few sales coming up on Tuesday. We're going to have a sale at Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri. It's one of our bigger sales. They'll be having a sale. St. Onge, South Dakota is going to have a rescheduled sale on Tuesday. Normally they sell on Fridays, but they're going to have their rescheduled sale on Tuesday because of weather. They've got 1,200 bred cows to sell here today on Tuesday. Got 350 head of calves and 500 weigh-ups to sell. As we go on to later in the week, we're going to run lower and lower on feeder type sales and probably more on bred cow sales. We always see a lot of bred cow sales right at the tail end of the year. There'll be some running all the way up. Bassett, Nebraska is going to have a big bred cow sale on Christmas Eve. But Burwell Livestock Market is having their Holiday Cow Classic, and that is annually a big sale, big bred cow sale. They're going to have Wednesday is they're going to be their culls, and then Thursday they've got all their bred stock, and they've got 1,500 head of dispersal bred cows to sell. They're going to have 1,600 bred heifers, and these will be some of the highest bred stock you can find anywhere, and they're right there in the Sand Hills in Nebraska. They've got 1,000 bred cows. That's going to be this Thursday, so don't miss that. You can view and bid that sale on dvauction.com at Burwell Livestock Market. But your packers are not even sniffing around so far. Right now, we don't know if they're even going to try to buy anything this week because they had a really light Monday slaughter. Only 100,000 head estimated for slaughter here today on Monday. It's normally about 125 or 128 on a good week. No, they're not expecting to have a whole lot of slaughter on Friday, none on Saturday, and even be cut back a bunch on Monday, since that's the actual federal holiday. They'd have to pay extra for their federal inspectors and graders and things like that, and they're likely to back off on that. So it's going to be pretty tight and next week for sure. So we're not sure how many cattle they're going to need. We would expect they would buy a few cattle, try to buy them at steady money. They'll get real aggressive the week between Christmas and New Year's to get enough cattle just to cover their immediate needs. So we should hope that maybe we can gain a little bit more ground there in that week between Christmas and New Year's, but we're not real sure. They haven't been buying a lot of cattle for short-term future delivery, for that 2 to 4 week delivery every week, and so they're going to be kind of shy on cattle to get in there. They'll have to buy some and hopefully get an opportunity to gain a little bit more market position. Packers are whining a little bit, saying that they're in the red ink, if you want to believe that. I don't believe that. Your box beef cutout values were up big last week, up really big, and you know, they're just managing the supply of their box beef, of their carcass availability, that just like they manage the supply of finished cattle. So I don't believe that they're in the red ink. Like I've said before, there's a lot of little niche things that they pull out of those carcasses that nobody knows exactly what they're getting whenever they send those overseas as an aphrodisiac or whatever, what have you. They've got a lot of little things they pull out of there that don't get included in those break-evens that you know the public is privy to. But I do know that hide and offal, which is where a lot of that stuff is coming from, that second market stuff. The hide and offal is running $5 a hundred higher than the 5-year average. For steers and heifers, it's running $4 a hundred higher than the 5-year average on cow offal and hides. So don't tell me they're not getting along here. And you know, if we got upset every time your cattle feeders were losing money or in the red ink, we'd be upset all the time, which maybe it does sound like we're upset all the time, but I don't know if I believe all that stuff that we're hearing. But got a cattle on feed report coming out, and it's not going to come out till Friday. That's going to be about the only news there's going to be come out on Friday. We're expecting it to be very, very bullish, which once we get the roundup of the estimates for that report, which the report is just an estimate too, but I'm afraid they're really going to bite off a hunk, and then we're going to have to really be bullish to cover that. But it's going to be bullish, and hopefully whenever that does come out, it will encourage some investors, speculators, manage money to get into your cattle futures and invest in that on the long side, because they're the only ones to do it. But let's talk about your board on Monday. December live cattle futures are up 22 cents at 155.27. February is up 27 at 156.05. Back months on live cattle up a nickel to up 22 cents. January feeder cattle were down big, down $1.67, but they're running at such a premium to what our index levels are. That doesn't really bother me whenever they're down like that, because they don't have the power to pull the cash market up, so they might as well get in line with it. March feeder cattle down 90 cents at 183.80. Your back months on feeder cattle were all down, or actually until you got to the farthest out, they were down 85 cents to the two farthest out traded months, and they were up some as much as 42 cents. March Chicago Board of Trade corn futures down 5 3/4 cents, which really surprised me that feeder cattle was down that much, with corn being down 5 3/4 cents. Closing regular trading at 647 1/4. January beans down 19 1/4 cents. That's of course they're volatile. They'll be up twice that much tomorrow probably at 1460 3/4. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade on a direct basis out of the 5-area feeding region included 65,900 head in the 5-area. That was quite a bit more than the previous week of only 52,700, and a whole lot more than the same week a year ago, which was only 38,900. But we'd still like to see that movement closer to 100,000 rather than the 66,000. But live sales of steers and heifers last week ranged from 153 to 158. That was basically steady. The northern plains, the bulk of their cattle on a live basis sold from 156 to 157, and in the southern plains it was mostly 155. The outliers, the 153, did not have much. In fact, there was only 450 head of cattle that brought less than 154. There was 405 head that brought 158, but bulk of it was right in the middle there. Your weighted average on live steers was 155.69. down just 10 cents a hundredweight compared to the weighted average on live steers the previous week. Dress sales were higher, about $1 higher, straight through from 244 to 248 dressed. There was only 119 head at 244, 18,300 head at 248. So the bulk of the trade on a dress basis was at the extreme top of the range last week, and your weighted average was almost that. It was 247.80, up 98 cents. So it was good to gain some ground somewhere, and we gained it on a dress basis there. Nationwide, your negotiated fed cattle trade was 74,600. Negotiated grid was 34,500. Forward contracting was 21,200 head, and formula non-competitive sweetheart deals 255,500 head. Of the 74,600 pure negotiated, about 21,200, or about 28%, was for the 2 to 4 week delivery, which they were wanting. That was more than the previous 2 weeks, but they were wanting more of that to kind of get them through the holiday season. But that's not a bunch. It's usually in the low 30s, so it was a little bit lower than that. Box beef cutout values. Choice was up $1 on Monday afternoon at $263.83. Selects up $3.12 at $238.57. Let's continue to see a little rally here on box beef cutout values. As I mentioned, your slaughter on Monday was only estimated at 100,000 head, which would be a whole lot less than normal. Talk about what else is going on. Beaver County Stockyards is closed here today on Tuesday for the holiday season. They will have a sale next Tuesday on January the 3rd, but they're letting their employees and everybody, the customers and everybody, have this week off for the Christmas holiday, and we're glad of that. Don't forget, coming up the second sale of the new year, we've got a special feeder cattle auction called the Feeder Flash Beaver Clash. We're going to help promote that sale, going to be on hand for that sale. Looking forward to it and hope we have a big turnout. If you want to get some of the highest prices that you can dream of anywhere in the Southern Plains, get your cattle consigned to Beaver County Stockyards on January the 10th for the Feeder Flash Beaver Clash. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Monday sitting at 177.23, down 65 cents compared to the end of last week. Don't forget Night Latch Group. That's Andy Cunningham. He has got, he's all kinds of services for risk management and insurance. He's got crop insurance, sells a lot of LRPs. He's really promoting and trying to get a niche into livestock gross margin. And with that, you can manage cattle feeding margin risk and leave the top side wide open. Do it in any month for any number of cattle. Get a hold of Night Latch Group at nightlatch.net. Talk about your big sales on Monday. This will be the last really good test of the market until after the New Year's. But Oklahoma National Stockyards, Oklahoma City, 7,800 head. They're going to be closed the next 2 weeks fully. So they're not having a sale on January the 2nd, and they're not having a sale next week. So they're going to be closed 2 weeks, but they picked the second half for that. Feeder steers on the 7,800 head. Those weighing under 800 pounds, but going right into the feedlot, steady to $4 higher. Heavier feeder steers weighing over 8 were mostly steady in a lighter test. Feeder heifers were steady in a light test. Steer calves $4 to $8 higher again, and they just continue to build on that steer premium, with heifer calves selling steady to $4 higher. About the only sale I know of that's going to have one later in the week is Dodge City, Kansas at Winter Livestock. They're going to have a sale on Wednesday, and that'll be about the last big sale I know of before a feeder cattle sale before Christmas. Joplin Regional Stockyards had a sale on Monday, 9,000 head, big sale. They will sell weigh-up cows on Wednesday, and then they'll be completely closed next week, but they will reopen on January the 2nd and be ready for feeder cattle on that Monday right after New Year's. But Joplin on their 9,000 head, the market was lower. Of course, they've been having some really whippy sales here. The Federal State Market reporter there, he called it pretty tough lower. Steers 5 to 8 lower, heifers 2 to 5 lower. It looked to me like your calves took the brunt of the loss, not necessarily your feeder steers. It was calves and unweaned calves with a storm coming like it is. You can't blame them for backing off those a little bit. If you look at this automated market report, it's your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day was Joplin Regional Stockyard. Despite lower quotes, you can look over there, look in your best tested weights, and you can see what the lower trend was compared to the weighted average of the previous week. It was mostly lower on your lighter weight calves, and feeder types, your yearling types, were not that much lower, $2 to $3 lower for the most part. But look at your best tested weights on the steers. 822 head of 5-weight steers averaged 555. weighted average price of $181.41. That was about $8 lower. And like I said, mostly on your unweaned types. Hard weaned stockers with condition were selling a lot closer to steady. 876 head of 7-weight steers averaged $761 with a weighted average price of $167.64. That was $6 lower. But you get up into your yearling types on the 8 weights, 2,193 head. They had some big swaths in there. The 8-weight steers, they averaged 830 pounds with a weighted average price of $173.91. That wasn't quite $3 lower. I'll give you some individual quotes from all around the circuit. How about Central Oregon Livestock Auction in Madras, Oregon? They sold 55 steer calves, weigh 483 at $2.23 a pound. Pretty respectable price right there. How about Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota? They sell 212 steers, weighed 1028 at $171. Pretty impressive quote. But the most impressive quote that I saw on Monday, your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come from the little market with the big prices. Sylvan Sales Commission in Sylvan Grove, Kansas. Toby Myers sells 62 steers, weigh 837 at $181. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.